Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Rahmanisa Hidayati and you can call me Nisa. In this video, I will talk about a topic with theme strategic leadership, geopolitics and sustainable policy. And that's why in this video I will bring out the research reports and the case study with the title of The Lithium Paradox, Geopolitics, Sustainability and the Global Energy Race, which is published in 2026. Therefore, there are three main points of discussion that I will talk about in this video. The first one is the geopolitics strategy. In this part of the discussion, I will analyze the rivalry between China and the West, such as USA and the European countries regarding the lithium sovereignty. And also, how do the policy of Inflation Reduction Act, or what we know as IRA, impact the global trade. The second one is the Indonesia's blueprint. We know that there is a term that's still a hot take in our country even until now, which is the hilirisasi term. Yes, and that's why in part of the discussion we will evaluate that policy, the hilirisasi policy, to overcome the ESG challenge and to become the global EV hub or the electric vehicle hub. And the last one, or the third one, is the strategic solution. It is part of the discussion. We will talk about the direct lithium extraction or DLE and the digital battery passports to solve the ethical paradox of mining. And that's for the three main points that I will bring in this discussion for the time summary for the advanced level. But before we jump into the first discussions of our topic, I will deliver the brief summary or the brief introduction of this case. So the thesis of this report is that the world is actually start to actualize the idea of the net zero economy, which is a condition or situation to balance the greenhouse gases emissions with an equivalent amount to remove from the atmosphere. And in other words, this idea is to targeting a net reductions of emissions to zero. So no emissions, zero emissions. And this main subject, what is it? And it's not only just an idea, but it's really happening right now. There are many factories doing to achieve the dream of the zero emissions in this world. And the main subject of this report is the mineral that what we frequently known as the white gold. And maybe lots of you haven't really heard about this white gold. And why is it called as the white gold? Is it really valuable as the gold we know, or is it a different kind of gold? But actually, this white gold is just a term for a mineral that literally has a white color. And if you ask me, is it really valuable? My answer is yes. It's really valuable, with equally valuable like the gold that we know, but in the context of the zero emission dream. Yes, and that is actually a mineral that what we know as lithium. Yeah, you heard me. It is the lithium. The lithium is a mineral that its function, we already know that its function to power the electric vehicle. You know what? We want to have the zero emissions, and one of the way is to remove the fossil fuel vehicle to we need to shift it or move from the fuel vehicle to the electric vehicle, and that is the way. And to have that electric vehicle, we need lithium. You see? And without even realizing, in Indonesia there's already a phenomenon phenomenon to have to already passed a phenomenon to of the high demand of this mineral, of this white gold mineral, without even realizing, or maybe you already realize it. As what Let's go back to last year, and actually it's still going on. Maybe, yeah, it's still going on right now, even though it's not really that um, much of the case like last year. But yeah, the high demand of the lithium right now is still happening. And you can see, as if you can recall it, you might see that in every electric shop in your city, in my city back then, especially last year, there are a lot of electric shop that will display their newest model of the electric bicycle in front of the yard. Yes, you heard me. Electric bicycle. They use what? They use the lithium battery to give the power to the bike so that it can move and so on. And yeah, what is I'm sorry, a little bit lost in a thought. Okay, let me continue. So yeah, there is a phenomenon that there a massive buying of the electric vehicle in our country, and hoping and those electric shop hoping the passerby want to come to their shop and buying their newest model of the electric vehicle. And I think there's still some of the electric vehicles that still has the electric bicycle in front of the yard. And that's the proof, guys, on the high demand of this white gold. And it's really what is it? It's really valuable, and yet this phenomenon eventually will lead us or bring us to the main problem or the main paradox of this case, of this report. With the good intentions to stop the global warming, to have no emissions, zero emissions, we are accidentally causing a huge environmental damage to the local communities. As what you realize, there's high demand of the lithium to have the zero emissions, but because of the massive buying of the electric bicycle, a sudden wave of the people that produce the electric vehicle. I think this is really concerning. Yes, the intention is good, but the after effects of this massive actions will lead to the environmental issue, and that's what we want to discuss afterward. How can this be happening will be answered later, and I will try to deliver the three main points that I already stated in the beginning of the video. Okay, let's talk about the first point of discussions, the geopolitics strategy. How is the world managing the sudden high demand of this white gold to make the idea of the net zero economy comes true? Currently, by the data, by the reports that I read, supply chain on the system that are involved in getting a production is heavily unbalanced or skewed. As of 2036, China remains the undisputed hegemon, or in other words, unbeatable of the battery world. But this is not only just, what is it? I don't know how exactly to say it in English, but as we blink, yeah, it's not happen in just a blink, but this is the result of 2 decades of strategic state-sponsored planning. So this is the result of their heartbreak. They don't and what's amazing from China is that they don't just build the battery, but they own equity in lithium mines in Africa and also South America, dominate the process of the world's lithium roughly around 60%. As you can see from the figure 2, the global refining market share with the rest of the world only 11%, and half then half of the refining market share was held was held by China with amount around 58%, almost 60%, like I said. What China has been achieving makes Western nervous, especially for the United States, and they are alarmed with the current situation. So, and knowing the situation that the China dominates the market of the refined lithium, in their perspective, if they depend entirely on a rival country, you know that US and China has a famous relationship, like, I don't know, I couldn't say it's a love relationship, but yes, they have like a rivalry for over years, and like just not long to go, they have like be caring to each other. And let me continue. So if they depend entirely to the rival country for the most valuable mineral of the century, in this perspective, it's dangerous. They can't do that. So to fight back the dominations of China, the US make a new law called the Inflation Reduction Act, or we short it as the IRA, policy. The IRA give people big tax discount for buying electric vehicles from US, but there is a major requirement for this. The battery parts, even though they can buy with a high discount, with really cheap price, the battery parts must come from the United States or a friendly partner country. And this has started a new trend called friendshoring, where countries only want to trade with their political allies like Australia and Canada to break away from China's domination control. And that's how the US and that's how US keep its distance to China. Okay, we already talked about the giant countries such as China and the Western countries, of course, like USA. And that's how that these big countries, these giant countries, make policies that actually also impact to the global trade to make us I don't know how to say it in English term, but like we need to wanting not wanting, we need to follow one of their rules. Will you want to tend toward to the China or tends toward the US? And as what we've seen in Indonesia, we've seen from the government, we lend a bit more to the US rule. We tend to follow more with their, you can say, the policy. And actually sometimes I don't really like about the results of our government what is it, our government decisions. But yeah, let's move on from this discussion. So I don't want to have another big big problem. Okay, so after we already talk about the giant countries and their plan to occupy the white gold and to actualize the net zero economy, the net zero emission. Sorry. Now let's move on and let's talk about our beloved country, Indonesia. As I mentioned before, we have bought lots of electric vehicles such as electric bicycle. Let's say this as e-bike, yeah. E-bike. And yeah, but we already try to follow the what is it, the international law stated by the giant countries like USA, but how to join? But but are we really joining the global race right now? And how does Indonesia contribute to supply all those electric vehicles that we have right now? According to the reports, Indonesia has a very smart plan called hilirisasi. This term, when we translate it to English, has a literal meaning with downstreaming. So basically, the government stopped selling cheap nickel to other countries. They told the global companies to build their factories to our homeland, here in Indonesia. So if they want Indonesia's nickel, they need to build their companies. They need to build their factories in our country. This forcing global automakers to build factories within the country. The resulting thus resulting Indonesia into a huge industrial hub, because every every country that wants our nickel, our raw nickel, then they need to build their factories in our land, correct? But here is the problem. Yes, Indonesia has plenty of nickel, but lacks of lithium. So to fix this, in 2026, Indonesia partnered with Australia to bridge the lack of the lithium by ship hot rock lithium across the ocean to be mixed with Indonesia's nickel. But here is the thing. To get the nickel out of the rock, Indonesia has a method called HPAL, high pressure acid leaching. This is in fact it's economically successful. However, it's also creating another problem when it comes to the ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance rule. Investor use ESG rule to make sure a company is acting ethically. I mean, like, they're not act out of their action, like making sure that they follow the rule, something like that. The method and the report say that the method fails a lot of ESG rules and there are 4 reasons. The first one, it uses dirty coal power which creates air pollution, and the second one, it's toxic, dangerous liquid waste. If we storing this toxic waste safely it's a huge risk, especially because Indonesia has so many tropical storms and earthquakes. Imagine if there is a flood in our area and it's actually already contacting with the toxic water pollutions from the companies that what is it that um, implement the HPAL method. And for real, I don't want to be one of the victims. So I hope our governments can make sure of find another what is it solutions to this problem. Okay, so that is for the second part. That's like the end of the second part, and now the last part. We want to talk about the strategic solution for the problems that we encourage, no, not encourage, yeah, that we encountered for to achieve the net global emission, or what we already talk about. So the current methods we know has what is it? The current methods have flow have flawless, yeah, not it's not perfect, we know it. And mining lithium from salty water in the Andes mountains dries up the land for local people. Mining it for a hot rock creates 5 times more carbon pollution. We want to we want to do it because we want to achieve the net zero emissions, but the effect is really 5 times worse than 5 times worse than the what is it the usual carbon pollutions. But so how do we overcome these problems? And there are few things. There are few high technology solutions that we offer, yeah. Okay, the first one is the direct lithium extractions, or we sort it as the DLE. Instead of wasting water, this DLE acts like a giant water filter. It pulls the lithium out and puts the water back right into the ground. This technology saves 90% of the water and works in hours instead of months. This is sorting the what is it? The amount of times, and also has high probability to save that has what is it? I'm sorry. Let me control. Let me build uh, a correct way to say it. So yeah, it's more safe, and it's also not too. We don't need a long time to success or to get that lithium. And the second one is the digital battery passports. In Europe, there's a law that every battery must come with a digital passport or the digital tracker. This tracker tells buyers exactly where the minerals came from and how much pollution was created to make it, thus making it more transparent with the process, right? And I think it's really good. And I hope in Indonesia, we can implement that kind of passports to like to save, not save money, I mean like to give awareness to us on how our actions can affect our environment, our earth, our beloved earth. Okay, that's the second one. And now the last one is the best thing, and the best solutions from these regulations to make our dreams come true. The best long-term fix for this problem is recycling or urban mining. Sorry, let me correct it again. The best long-term fix is recycling or urban mining. Scientists can can now take an old battery and save 95% of the mineral inside it to make a brand new one. So this is what is it? And the final boss, we can say the final boss of the solutions we have for this for the paradox that we encounter in this case study. And that's all of our discussions. I know that it's still off with my video, but yeah, that's it. And to wrap up our discussions today, so that getting rid of fossil fuels is something that we have to do. We couldn't use it. What is it? Sorry, we cannot always use this fossil fuels vehicle or something that using fossil fuels. But to get a truly green future, to get that zero emissions, the dream that we want to have renewable energy without having without causing damage to our beloved earth, we can just keep digging up the earth and make it more worse. We need to build something that actually has more great solutions, or with the newest idea, where it can not only to give the solutions of our problems but also protect the local environment. And I think that's all. Thank you very much, and I'm sorry with the flaws in my video today and with my also with my presentations. I hope we can discuss more in the future, and that's all. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.